Hey everyone, it's Marilyn. Welcome back to my channel. We're going to do things a little bit differently today because I've been feeling a little under the weather and don't want to be on camera. So it's going to be the first ever read-along episode of The Secrets of Kings where I give you the words right on screen. You're welcome. Without further ado, it's Season 2, Episode 3 of The Secrets of Kings. Enjoy. Quinella, Princess of Frowena, July 7th, 1390, 8:42 p.m. A whole host of strange dreams afflicted the princess's mind, but one scenario in particular seemed to keep repeating itself. Quinella was running up a strange, twisting flight of stairs. She could not see the top, but somehow she knew that she wanted whatever was up there, that it was hers, that she must have it. Her scent was met with a host of obstacles, missteps, fallen trees, and a set of familiar hands that kept pushing her down. Nevertheless, she rose up each time, continuing to seek the apex. Suddenly, however, little Remedy appeared in the middle of the steps. A blank little face suddenly turned cold. A little body growing large in front of her, a mighty chest protruding, demanding to be seen. Remedy transformed into the shape of their mother as the figure continued to grow. The giant before her swept down her left hand, violently sweeping up her doll-sized daughter. Quinella could distinctly feel the hard metal of her mother's wedding band putting immense pressure on her hip as the large fingers continued to squeeze her. She was being lifted high into the air, where she could look down and see the land in its glorious shapes, all miniaturized by her current position. Soon her mother's arm was fully stretched above her oversized frame, allowing Quinella to see the top of the staircase. An ornamented crown and staff lay atop a red velvet pillow. Her mother's arm bent backward, bringing Quinella over the landing and close to the regal treasures at the top of the stairs. Quinella wriggled until she freed her small arms from her mother's grip, using them to reach out for her prize. Just as the tip of her middle finger grazed the top of the crown, with a sudden jolt and release, her mother threw her forward with great force. The staircase and its treasures quickly became a speck in the distance, and the once stunning aerial landscape began to turn dark and foreboding as it rushed up to meet her. She screamed with the anticipation of her body smashing into the earth. Everything went black for a moment. The next thing she knew, she was awakening on the beach. Though the tide had receded, it was clear she had somehow washed up there. Her hair intertwined indelicately with the fine grains of sand and the drifting weeds of the sea. Quinella pulled herself up, her wet garments clinging strange and heavy against her body. She struggled to get footing in the soft, wet sand, so she wriggled her body to an incredibly large piece of driftwood. She used its protrusions to pull herself upright and maintain a steady walk up to the beach's end, where the grass and the sand stood off over territory. She looked around, but there appeared to be no one there but her. She made her way over to a small hill just beyond the sand. Once she made her way to the top, she was met by a small path, and just up the path was a small stone structure. She trudged her way there as quickly as possible. There was something not quite typical about this place, and she was not quite sure she wanted to be there. This small stone hut was surely smaller than half her chamber. She circled it cautiously, unsure if someone might be currently inhabiting the home. In the rear, a doorway draped with a large piece of leather flapped ever so slightly from the beach breeze, allowing Quinella to peek inside to an empty abode. She reached out and pulled the leather to the side, sliding through the small opening she made for herself there. Once both of her feet were in the hut, a fireplace in the corner burst to life, with flames of blue and purple, and a small, circular table with 2 seats appeared in the middle of the room. One of the seats was occupied by a shadowy figure. "Come in, my child," a shaky female voice invited. Quinella's eyes scanned the figure with curiosity. A pair of knobby, frail hands protruded from under a number of layered claws. An almost yellow pair of eyes pierced Quinella. Her knees were shaking, and the princess could not seem to make her body function in any meaningful way. "You seek me here, and now you do not come?" the old woman accused. "Seek you?" Quenella asked. "I did no such thing." "What?" the figure roared. "Your blood is saturated with the maiden's call. You had enough to cross the plain. Now I am here. What troubles you?" "Maiden's call? What are you talking about?" "Well, if you didn't take it, someone must have thought you were in trouble and needed me," the woman replied. Her face went stoic for a few moments as she scanned Quenella's face. "You need not even tell me your woes, girl." "My woes?" "You have learned something. You're upset, confused, feeling betrayed, but you know in your core that this secret might need keeping." Quenella's fear turned to curiosity. "How do you know all this?" she asked, making her way to the seat across the table. "Tell me what to do," she demanded. The earth began to shake, and the stone walls around them began to crumble to the ground. The sky swirled orange and purple. The wind picked up speed, whipping Quenella's hair to and fro. "My child," the old woman yelled over the howling winds, "the information you possess is dangerous. You want my advice. Bibi advises you, keep your secret to yourself. Trust the Eye and those who have always loved you. Think of the greater good." At the last word, the wind stilled, the fire went up in smoke, and the earth swallowed up the crumbled stone. The chairs and table were pulled down shortly after, complete with the form of the old lady, who seemed at ease with becoming one with the earth. Quenella was left on the grass, alone. She stood up and searched the nearly empty landscape before it opened up beneath her feet, causing her to fall, and fall, and fall. Quenella's eyes opened wide as she gasped for breath. Her body was drenched in sweat. Her head was pounding, as it never had before. The carriage was almost entirely dark. It took her a moment to process the fact that the carriage did not feel as though it were moving. She rolled off the small bench on which she had curled herself up to sleep. She called out to Ponce, only to have him jump into the carriage and tackle her. Everything was a bit foggy, but eventually, Quenella was helped out of the cart and led to a large chair in front of a roaring fire. She could hear voices arguing behind her, but she was entranced by the chaotic flames in front of her. The deep yellows harkened back to Bibi's eyes, which lit so brilliantly in her dreams. Or maybe she was still dreaming. She couldn't be sure. A small tap on her shoulder stole her attention. There was a large, handsome man standing over her. "Water?" he asked. She smiled at him and took the glass, spilling a bit as a result of her incredibly weak grip and shaking hands. He reached down and helped her bring the cup to her lips. She sipped a bit, and he pulled the cup away from her. He sat down on the edge of the seat across from her. He pulled off layers of tools and clothing until he was down to his bare chest. It was a soft orange from the glow of the flames. The princess traced her eyes across his naked, broad shoulders until she rested on the center of his neck. She reached out toward him, but was too far away to reach the necklace that sat there. "You have the Eye," she exclaimed. "Trust the Eye. Trust the Eye. Oh, trust the Eye," she continued to repeat. "Trust the Eye. Trust the Eye. Trust the Eye." Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of The Secrets of Kings. We will be back next week with episode 4 of season 2. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode when it comes out. And also consider following us on other things like Twitter and Instagram. And also consider supporting us through our Patreon page, because with that support, we can produce more material like this. Thanks so much, and we will see you next week.